All right, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott with Rickety Ski Reviews, and today we are going to react to a ski review that we have not reacted before. We are going to react to the review of the Rossignol Black Ops Sender TI. Kind of a mouthful. I think they separated the Sender and Black Ops series later down the line, but we reviewed it this past summer. So yeah, we're gonna see Ski Essentials review of the Black Ops Sender TI. Now, just to give you an overview, what I thought of the ski is I really thought it was a great ski. It had a beautiful turn. It really kind of loaded the ski and then had a very firm downhill ski, like a very firm turn that could kind of cut through things. But I said that the drawback of the ski was that you have to be really patient with your turn. If you try to kind of roll the edges over before the ski is fully loaded, it really doesn't like that. It really doesn't like washed out turns. This ski is meant for like a certain radius turn, and if you try to kind of stretch it in the wrong direction, if you try to kind of like initiate the turn early or kind of cut that radius short, it's not going to be happy and it doesn't give you a good turn. But that being said, if you're a patient skier, you know how to kind of initiate your ski early, you're going to like the ski. If you're someone who likes to really savor your turn, load it and enjoy it, this might be a perfect ski for you. So I believe if I'm remembering correctly, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a really beautiful turn shape, but not everybody is that patient with their skis, and if you're not patient with the turn, you're not going to enjoy it as much. You really need to make sure that the ski's fully loaded before it starts turning. So, you know, and you know, depending on what the conditions are like and what the shape of the trail is, that's not always possible. But overall, I was very positive about that ski, gave it a 7 out of 10. So, without further ado, let's see what Ski Essentials thought. And here we go.
Hi skiers, it's Bob with SkiEssentials.com. Welcome to our 2021 ski test. Today we have the Rossignol Sender TI. This Black Ops series has gotten revamped for 2021. A couple of new models, a couple of returning models, all kind of different names. So this is the Black Ops Sender TI. This is kind of that upper level free ride directional ski in Rossignol's line. The cool thing about this is that it comes in a 180, a 187, and a 194. So if you're looking for something softer or shorter than a 180, just the regular Sender is going to be more appropriate for you.
Did he say 194, 180, 187, and 194? Holy moly. God, I'm 6'1" and I'm like, who is that for? I guess, you know, if I'm thinking about it critically, obviously it's for somebody who's looking for big mountain skiing, who wants to kind of have big lines, or, you know, once you get into kind of some of that thicker powder, the long skis aren't as bad because you have more room. But me personally, I skied on the 180, and I thought that was a good length for this ski. Just so you still have time to kind of load the turnaround. And you know, I like having some flexibility, because where I ski, you'll have like these big open areas of powder, but then they'll kind of funnel down into areas that aren't cleared as well, where you'll have kind of more trees and limbs. So I don't know, I like a little bit more space to make my turns. I've talked about that before, but I'd say especially with these skis, because they don't like to turn prematurely, I would lean more towards the 180 length.
The other interesting thing about these is this is in the 180 here, we're at a 104 underfoot, and then in the 187 we go to a 106, and then in the wider it's a 108. So the ski does change per length, so keep that in mind when you're shopping.
That's good to know, and it's kind of an incremental length, and I'm sure that what they're doing is they're trying to, with the increase of the length, maintain the same kind of dimensions with the overall shape of the ski. But that's good to know, that's good information.
But basically here we got a poplar wood core, and they are carrying forward their carbon matrix through from the 7 series skis. So they definitely have that as one of their stiffening agents. Also the line control technology that's brought down from the race department is employed here. They have ABS line control technology. So 2 vertical metal strips of ABS material running the center cord of the ski here. And that prevents counterflexing, keeps the ski on a nice straight true path, really does a good job at keeping the ski smooth and stable.
Okay, I totally felt that, and that would explain what I was talking about, where like once the ski's loaded, it makes a beautiful turn, but it doesn't like to kind of change its shape prematurely. That's probably what he's talking about with those two rails keeping it on center. It's also, if you're gonna talk about the drawback of that is that you can't kind of force the turn early. It likes to keep its natural turn shape. It's a good thing for stability, but it can be a downside for flexibility and turn shape for the user or for the skier.
Without adding the weight of a full metal laminate. So there is metal underfoot here, and it does extend back towards the tips and tails underfoot, and that not only gives you better torsional stiffness underfoot, better...
Can I just say that's really good skiing? That was a beautiful little downhill ski turn he kind of said in there. What they call that is like, if you come from the carving or racing world, it's kind of this drill you do where you try to see how close you can get your hip to the ground, and that's what he's doing. He's trying to see if he can get his hip all the way to the ground. I'm not sure if he did. It's hard to tell from that angle, but that's good skiing. It's a really good drill too for just kind of testing your balance, because if you're tippy, your center of gravity is not going to be in the right spot, so you aren't able, and it's going to prevent you from getting downhill pressure on your ski. What that kind of drill does is it's just showing you like, hey, you need to have your shoulders really square so that you can get that low and almost get your hip to the ground.
Carving power, you know, not a carving ski per se, but you do end up on firm snow from time to time. That's just the reality. In terms of shaping, we have
Okay, that's the one take that I'm gonna really push back on. Bob says it's not really a carving ski, and I would argue actually it's a great carving ski. It's really diverse. It's got a nice wide underfoot. It's got really like kind of like a stable ski that I felt like could cut through a lot of the late season snow. I went up to Mount Hood where it was a little bit firm on the top and then slushy at the bottom, and I had no problem in either area. I could carve well on them, but I could also cut straight through things. I really thought this was a nice ski. Is it the perfect carving ski? No, it's not the most responsive. It's got a wide underfoot. It takes a little while to get over edge to edge. But the turns it does, if you're really, really patient, you load up the ski and give it time to come around, that turn is beautiful. You know, maybe whatever narrow corridor he was in or whoever was skiing these on, maybe they didn't get a chance to pull them around. But even like we saw Jeff turn on them, that was a beautiful carving turn. It's not its like primary identity, but I think that if you were somewhere where you wanted to be able to carve, but you also needed something that was gonna be kind of wide for big snow days, or like if you're in the Pacific Northwest, and you get some of that heavier wet snow, this would be a great ski. You could carve on it, but you can also kind of power through some of that chunkier snow. I disagree. I think this is a good carving ski. It's not the best at carving, but it does a great job, especially for all the other things it's doing.
a pretty moderate rocker and taper profile here. Pretty flat underfoot. And so when you're looking for that free ride ski, that more directional free ride ski, it's...
I would say actually for that length, that's pretty good camber. Like, it's hard to gauge based on like the color and the video quality or whatever, but that's actually a pretty good amount of camber, all things considered. I think what's happening is that rocker is kind of offsetting it, but when you're on skis and underfoot, you do get a fair amount of camber, and what that translates to is when you're skiing, I felt plenty of pop out of my turns once I loaded the ski.
It's really nice to have some camber to help you with your edge grip, but not too much that it makes the ski hooky. So this is a really smooth ski from tip to tail. You know, pretty minimal splay in the tail, and that's going to allow you to get that higher performance on the back side of the turn. But really...
Okay, and Jeff skiing, you see how like he kind of leaned his inside hand into the hill and kind of tipped over, and then you can see how his kind of inside foot got uncomfortable. He's tipping into his turns. This is an older video, so I believe this is 3 years ago. He definitely doesn't ski like that now. He gets his hip more into the hill, so his skiing is definitely improved, which is kind of cool to see over the past 3 years, or 2 years or whatever. But just from that skiing, yeah, you gotta be careful if you tip your hand in too much. Like, that's kind of the double-edged sword of that hip drill, is sometimes it can give you bad habits of leaning in and trying to like cheat and get your hand into the snow. You just gotta be a little more patient. I do that too, where I drop my inside hand just because I kind of think it's fun, but it doesn't provide a lot of stability. When I'm on the East Coast, I have to be careful of that because you really need a strong downhill platform to keep your edge into the hill.
Playful tip. So nice and wide up front, and just a smooth, consistent flex all the way throughout. So that's the new Rossignol Black Ops Sender TI.
Yeah, that's good skiing. He's vibing with it. He's feeling it.
Really fun new ski. It's not often that they get it right on the first time, but these are just that high performance directional freeride ski that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's so cool to see what kids can learn. Like, I feel like watching my own kids ski, they pick things up so quickly. And look at that kid. I mean, he just did, what was that, 360? That's super cool.
Advanced expert skiers are really going to love. So check out the Rossignol Black Ops Sender TI on skiessentials.com, and we'll see you out there on the hill.
Okay, I would say Bob's kind of half right, or maybe he's just like telling half of the story. This is a good ski for expert skiers because expert skiers are good at loading a ski, but they're also typically good at being really patient with their turns. They're willing to load the ski and give it time to come around, where someone who's more intermediate won't do that. They'll kind of panic and say, why isn't my ski coming around? And then they'll force it. And if you do that on these Rossignol Sender Black Ops, they really don't like that, and they'll really give you a bad turn. But if you're really patient, they do come around. The part that they're leaving out is the ski's real weakness. If you're somebody who wants to go and make kind of erratic shaped turns, or you're going to put yourself in like a glade on the East Coast or kind of in the bramble on the West Coast, you want to be able to have a lot of flexibility in your turn shape. And if you do that too much on this ski, it does not like it. This is meant for like very open turns, kind of almost like GS radius turns or somewhere below that. And if you aren't patient with the ski, you're really not going to get a good experience back. That being said, if I was like up in Oregon or Washington, which I have skied there, when I did my race circuit in college, I would go up to Oregon. I would say that this would be a pretty good ski to have because it's gonna allow you to charge through the snow. But if you're somebody who's not real patient with your turns, don't get this ski, it's not for you. If you're somebody who really likes to have kind of a turn on demand, I would look at something more like a Fisher Ranger. I think that would probably be a better option for you. Even the Vocal Mantras do a better job. I mean, they kind of charge through, but they give you a little more turn flexibility than the ski. So, and then from there, if you're willing to be really patient and you just want to have a turn that you set in and you can kind of ride it through, this is a good option, but you should know the downsides. It's got a great turn shape, but there are drawbacks to it for sure. So overall, I thought this was a great review. Good skiing. I really like seeing Jeff skiing, and it's cool to see how he's improved. Like I think people kind of think when they're teenagers or kids, that's when you want to improve on skiing. But it's like if you're skiing all the time, you can like steadily improve. And Jeff is a great example. Kudos to Bob. I think he did a good job like pointing out some of the ski's main points. But again, with Ski Essentials, especially the earlier stuff, and for sure curated, they'll tend to kind of dance around the ski's short sides, and you just kind of have to use your imagination to fill in the blanks. So I'm going to tell you, this ski is for a patient skier. It's for somebody who has really good downhill pressure, who's willing to wait for it to come around. But if you're not that kind of person, don't look at this ski. Look at like a Fisher Ranger or something like that. But overall, I mean, great review, as always. I've been like kind of dreading looking up Curated to see if they even have this review, but I love seeing Ski Essentials take on it. And Bob always has great insight on the construction of the ski and everything, so it was really cool to see. So that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of content, please feel free to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, but it also helps you make sure you get the content as soon as it comes out. I'm doing regular content, so be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, that way you can get all my videos. But more than anything, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching, I really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.